preservation? How am I doing with time? How about preservation? The Quran was preserved both orally and written. The oral preservation finds its manifestation in unbroken chains of multiple recurring transmission. What that means in simple terms is thousands and later on hundreds of thousands of people knowing the Quran cover to cover, off by heart, passing it on to the next generation, to the next, from now all the way back to the Prophet. And this is a unique thing with the Quran that no other Holy Scripture or any other book has come anywhere near. And of course, these are chains of narration. They're not cut off at any point. Chains of narration that are verified by scholars at each point for those who have the certificate of the chain. And again, this point is recognized by even non-Muslim scholarship. Bernard Lewis, no lover of Islam for those who know him, an Orientalist, a famous British historian, he says, from an early date, Muslim scholars recognized the danger of false testimony and hence false doctrine, and developed an elaborate science for criticizing tradition. Their careful scrutiny of the chains of transmission and their meticulous collection and preservation of variants in the transmitted narratives give to medieval Arabic historiography a professionalism and sophistication without precedent in antiquity and without parallel in the contemporary medieval West. By comparison, the historiography of Latin Christendom seems poor and meagre, and even the more advanced and complex historiography of Greek Christendom still falls short of the historical literature of Islam in volume, variety, and analytical depth. Of course, it wasn't just oral, there's also written preservation. It was written in its entirety on various articles by the death of the Prophet, first compiled, brought together by the first Caliph, only 2 years after the death of the Prophet. Second and final compilation, a mere 20 years, 18 to 20 years after the death of the Prophet, final compilation, which is the same one which we have with us today. And again, I'm not going to just give you my own opinion about why that's the case or show you a Quran and ask you to come down. I'm going to give you the judgments of non-Muslim experts on the issue. Arthur Arbery, a well-known scholar of the Arabic language and of Islam, an Orientalist, he also translated the Quran. He writes in his introduction to the translation that apart from certain orthological modifications of the originally somewhat primitive method of writing, intended to render unambiguous and easy the task of reading and recitation, the Quran as printed in the 20th century is identical with the Quran as authorized by Othman more than 1300 years ago. William Muir, a Christian missionary from Oxford University, says a similar thing. He says the recension of Othman has been handed down to us unaltered. So carefully, indeed, has it been preserved that there are no variations of importance. We might almost say no variations at all. Amongst the innumerable copies of the Quran scattered throughout the vast bounds of the Empire of Islam, there is probably in the world no other work which has remained 12 centuries with so pure a text.